All right, useful stuff. Maybe think about it next time you go to the recycling. You take it down, to the wherever you do your recycling, and think about maybe you threw something away that you shouldn't have. Okay, that's not good, I guess. I didn't know it, but now we do, so we got to fix it. All right, well, let's get into English time. Let's talk about some English. Today's English time, this week on the blog, a lot of times I'll post phrases, as you know, different phrases and talk about it. It's been a while, but I used to post grammar posts every week. I would post one grammar post a week. I haven't done it in a while because I for 3 years, I posted so many grammar posts. I pretty much covered as much as I could think of as far as I knew. But I got a request recently from one of my blog readers, and they asked me to discuss this grammar idea, this grammar problem that they were having. They were having a hard time understanding the difference between for, the preposition for, F-O-R, and because of, right? So they asked me on the blog, could you please sometime explain the difference between for and because of, and I thought about it, and I wrote it down, and I thought, okay, I'll get to that. And it took me several, probably months. So I'm sorry if that was you, the person who requested that. It took me a long time to answer your question. Sorry, but I did this week. It's there. So let's talk about it. What is the difference between for and because of? This is a grammar question. It's a good grammar question, and it's something a lot of my students get confused about. Yeah. So let's talk about it. Basically, for and because of, they're used in a similar way, okay? Both of them are used to say why. When you're talking about something and you want to give a reason why, we use for and because of, okay? But there's a slight difference between them, just a little difference, and that is because of is used to show reason, the reason why, and for is used to show the purpose of why. Okay, now think about that for a minute. Let your head explode. What is the difference between a reason and a purpose? And if you can understand that, then you will understand this grammar. And it's not easy to understand. Okay, but let's try. Let me give you some examples to think about here. Okay, so for the first example here, this may be a bad example actually, but thanks for the flowers. If someone says to you, thanks for the flowers, or any gift you give someone, they say, thanks for whatever gift. It's a noun, right? The purpose of saying thank you is because of the flowers, right? So someone gave you flowers, and then because of that, for that purpose, for that reason, you're saying thank you, okay? But we can't say thanks because of the flowers. We don't say that. It just sounds strange. We don't say. When you are talking about gifts, okay, we don't say because of. The reason it's strange is because of is for explaining a reason, okay? And you're not saying thank you for the reason that you gave me the flowers, right? You're saying thank you because for the purpose of giving me the flowers, that you gave me a gift. That's different than a reason, okay? And so when we receive gifts, we use the preposition for, F-O-R. Okay, that someone on the blog had an issue with that because it is kind of a difficult example to start with. I probably shouldn't have started with that example. Okay, but just remember, when you're talking about gifts, we use for, F-O-R. Receiving gifts, you say thank you for some gift, not because of. Okay, now let me give you some more examples. Another example, you could say I was late because of the traffic. I was late because of the traffic. Now you're giving a reason for being late. Okay, the reason is, what's the reason? The traffic. Okay, that's fine. But you can't say I was late for the traffic, right? Because that's strange, okay? Because the reason you're late is the traffic, but that's not the purpose of your being late, right? That's not the purpose behind being late. It's just a reason. Something happened, there was traffic, and because of that, you were late. Okay, so cause and effect. When you have that kind of cause and effect, then we use because of. Okay, as with all grammar, it's a little confusing. I'll admit it's kind of confusing, but don't worry too much about the details. And this is what I told someone on the blog as well, or told everybody on the blog. Don't worry about the details too much, because grammar, if you focus on it too much, you can't see the big picture. It's like Monet. Do you know Monet, the famous painter, French painter, who painted things with a style that if you focused too closely, if you looked at it too closely, it looks weird and you can't really see what it is. But if you step back and you look at the big picture and you don't focus on the details too much, you can see a very beautiful picture. And that is the same way with grammar. Don't focus on the details too hard, or else you'll miss the big picture. The idea with grammar is don't think too hard about it. Okay, it will just come naturally to you through lots and lots and lots of practice, especially listening practice, which I've talked about before in my 10 tips. Okay, if you want to really get good at grammar, you need to do lots of listening. If you want to get good at anything in English, pronunciation, grammar, all of that, listening is the key. Okay, it will just come naturally. You won't have to think about it. Okay, grammar is something you shouldn't have to think about too much. If you're thinking about it, you're studying the wrong way. Okay, so don't focus too much on the grammar. All right, so the reason I'm saying that is I'm explaining to you grammar here, and it might be confusing. You might get frustrated. Don't get frustrated. Just think about it, try to learn it. If it doesn't make sense, forget it. Okay, because in the future, you will get it naturally the more and more you study English. Okay, another side note here, okay, because of is similar to due to, D-U-E, to T-O. Now, a lot of my students, many of my students, especially the ones who are very, they're in business or in science, they're used to doing papers and presentations, things like that. They always say due to. Okay, way too much, to be honest, because native English speakers, we don't use due to. Okay, we don't use it much. Okay, when we use it is in formal papers. If you're writing a report, if you're doing a presentation, you can say due to, and that's why many of my students use it, because they really did a lot of papers in their lifetime, reports and studying and presentations, things like that. But in conversation, natural conversation, it sounds strange. So a better way is to say because of. All right, so don't say I was late due to the traffic. That sounds strange. Just say I was late because of the traffic. Does that make sense? Okay, so keep that in mind, because that is a very common mistake that my students very often do. They always say due to, and honestly, we don't use it in natural speech. It is used for formal speech. When you're doing a presentation, that's okay. If you're doing writing a report, that's okay. Okay, but in casual conversation, better to say because of. Okay, or even better, we say 'cause of. We don't even say because, we say 'cause of. I was late because of the traffic. That's kind of American way to say it. Or even better, 'cause of. We don't even say of. Usually we say, I was late because of the traffic. Because of the traffic, very fast. That's very casual, okay? If you're in a business meeting, you're not going to want to say 'cause of, but you can choose, which level of casual you want, depending on who you're talking to and the situation. Okay, so I made a quiz. I made a quiz for you, and I posted it on the blog. If you haven't seen it, go to my blog and try to take the quiz. I'm going to give it to you right now, and you can choose your answers, and then I'll tell you the answers, okay? Number 1, this is the quiz. Just choose, is it because of or is it for? Okay, and remember, because of is when you're talking about the reason why something happened, the cause and effect, and for is when you're talking about the purpose of why something happened, the purpose behind it. Okay, so number 1, I'm going to the park because of a picnic, or I'm going to the park for a picnic. Which one? Which one? What did you say? I'm going to the park because of a picnic, or I'm going to the park for a picnic. If you guessed 4, you are correct. It is 4. I'm going to the park for a picnic. Why 4? Because the purpose of going to the park is the picnic. Okay? Without the picnic, you're not going to the park. There's no reason to go to the park. You're going there for the purpose of having a picnic. So in that case, you would say 4. Okay? Makes sense? Getting clearer? I don't know. Every example makes it clearer. So let's do another one. 2. She broke up with him because of his drinking habit, or she broke up with him for his drinking habit. Oh, tricky one. She broke up with him because of his drinking habit. Okay, now we're talking about reason, cause and effect. He was drinking, he had a drinking habit, so because of that, for that reason, she broke up with him. Yeah? It's not the purpose of breaking up. That's not why she wanted to break up. It's just cause and effect. She couldn't take it anymore. He's drinking too much, so because of that, she broke up with him. Oh, getting clearer? Maybe not. We say in English, we say clear as mud. It's clear as mud. In other words, not very clear. Difficult. When something's difficult, we often say that. Clear as mud. How about this, number 3? He can't go to the meeting because of his doctor's appointment or for his doctor's appointment. Did you guess? Because of? You are correct. Because of his doctor's appointment, he can't go. So again, cause and effect. He has a doctor's appointment. That's the reason he can't go to the meeting. Okay, it's not the purpose, right? He probably doesn't want to go to the doctor's appointment. He's not trying to miss the meeting, but it is the reason. So we use because of. Okay, number 4. I want to meet you because of drinks later, or I want to meet you for drinks later. Oh, now maybe you're getting the hang of it. 4 is the correct answer because the reason you're meeting, the purpose of your meeting is for drinks. Okay? It's not cause and effect. This is just why you want to meet. Okay? So for drinks, that's what you're going to do. Okay? And it's not just future. Some people might be wondering, is it just because it's future tense? No, because you could say yesterday I met you for drinks. Same thing, right? It doesn't change to because of just because you're talking about the past. It's the factor that you're looking for here is what's the reason, the purpose behind it. Okay, is it just cause and effect? This happened, so this has to happen, or is it there's a purpose, there's a reason for meeting? In this case, drinks, getting drinks together. Okay, number 5, we never went to Everland because of how far away it is, or for how far away it is. Yeah, you got it, because of how far away it is. We never went to Everland because of the distance. It's so far, right? So that's cause and effect. The reason you couldn't go to Everland, you didn't go to Everland, is because of the distance. Okay, if you wanted to say purpose, if you wanted to use for, you would say we went to Everland for fun, for sightseeing, to take pictures, whatever, so that kind of thing, when you have a purpose in mind, okay? But if you're just talking about the reason for something, use because of. Does that make sense? I sure hope so. Again, is it clear as mud? I hope not. I hope it's clear. But again, don't worry too much about it. Grammar is not something to think about too hard. Just get the concept, get the idea. Don't worry about every situation. It'll come. Don't worry. More and more listening practice will help you. Lots and lots of speaking practice will help you. And if you do that, if you follow my blog, if you listen to this podcast, if you do all the, watch the movies and the TV shows that I recommend for you, all of those things will help you with your listening, speaking, grammar, pronunciation. All of it is connected. It's all connected. You don't need to sit down with a grammar book and study too hard. Okay? That's my advice for you. That being said, we are done with this podcast, and next week we'll be back with another one. So make sure to study. Go to my blog, Mitch's Daily English. Study hard, and next week we'll be back with another podcast. This audio podcast is brought to you by Mitch's Mitching Young, an interactive online learning experience for you to learn how to speak like a native English speaker. Also brought to you by Mitch's Daily English Native blog and Facebook page.
Go to www.mitchinenglish.com to download Mitch's 미친 영어 application for free today.